We're back again
For another podcast.
for another podcast. Different setting this time.
It's different, so this is your house.
This is my house. And it's another hot one. And thankfully, we're in air-conditioned room. So
With some Sprite.
with some Sprite. No sugar. No sugar Sprite.
Oh, is there no sugar?
Yeah.
Yeah, I could taste that.
Yeah. Can you? Okay, so
You know, I can't tell the difference between the no sugar version and the sugar version.
you can't. It's actually it's crazy how like they literally take all the sugar out of it and make it just like.
What's in it for it to have the same taste as the other version, but this one is 3 calories, and the other one's like what, 300?
Yeah.
Don't quote me on that, guys. I don't actually know. But
It's just the sugar content in it.
far out, what a difference.
But the theme of today is just
Evolution.
sort of evolution. It's the theme today is just to be open-minded with everything that we're going to say. We're just going to be talking about a whole bunch of things.
Have gratitude.
Have gratitude. Yeah, we spoke about that in the last one actually.
Oh, we did, didn't we? The
We did.
gratitude bong.
Gong.
Gong.
Gratitude gong.
You know, I met someone yesterday. Do you remember Gato?
Yeah.
Yeah, so she's is your mic on yet? So she's a social worker.
Yeah.
I was rolling with her, and I was asking
In
her,
jiu-jitsu,
jiu-jitsu.
just
Yeah.
to clarify.
I'll just clarify. I was doing jiu-jitsu, and I was rolling with a girl. It's actually a sport where it's not about strength; it's more about the skill that you have. So we were pretty much on the same level in terms of skill. I got rolled, she got rolled. It was a pretty even match, I'd say. I like to say that. She will probably have a different recount. But anyways, I asked her what she does for work and stuff. She told me she's a social worker.
Yep.
And I don't know if the audience knows what they primarily do, but she kind of works primarily with adolescents going through high school who have broken families, broken homes, and she helps them go through schooling or helps them get new jobs, stuff like that, just to give them some sort of purpose
And
in life,
support.
which is it's such an admirable job, I feel. But no, she was telling me some stories, and she tells us that sometimes she has to actually go to schools or go to those some of the kids' homes that she looks after
Yeah.
and steals Gatos off them.
Oh.
So she collected these things from all the children she had, and I was like, oh man, you know, that would be such a blast from the past. Anyway, that's enough. Let's stop deviating on that topic. Just wanted to broadcast to the world out there that is still happening. I was shocked. I thought it was my gen. It ended at my generation, but you know, they're still bringing out Gatos.
It's still continuing.
The trend is still going.
You're probably wondering why we're wearing our Dynamic Recover shirts. We came from Brendon's house and we rushed over here to do the podcast because it was hot. But we were doing a video called the 80% video.
80% video, and what we like to say it's called 80% because it answers 80% of the questions that we get asked from coaching.
Yeah, so we did that. That's why we're wearing this shirt. But yeah, enough about what we're doing and the normality of the normality of the world.
We do look pretty professional, don't we?
Let's go on to our first topic, which is meaningful connections. Now,
we have a meaningful connection.
I feel like we do.
I came home yesterday after rolling, and this guy was in my kitchen cooking dinner.
Yeah.
So
I was cooking dinner for the fam. It was good. What you still haven't had it? It's still at home.
I still haven't eaten it.
It's Thai beef salad.
Oh, yum! That's going to be my dinner tonight.
It is.
I'm going to my dad's for dinner. Next time.
Next time, the next day. But what we're
You lost your train of thought? Okay. Let me continue on then.
let's put meaningful connections aside. Let's talk about food, because I feel like food is something that I've been struggling with recently. The prepping side of things is definitely plays a big part in.
Do you like my feet?
Can you,
Food is such an integral part in everyone's life. Doesn't matter what you are doing in life, you need to eat food. Now, what food do you usually go for? Are you waking up in the morning craving that Macca's McMuffin? Or are you craving, a couple eggs with some avocado and toast? Now, everyone's going to be completely different with their food choices and what they put into their body. Some people are a lot more conscious with what goes in. So they're going to be more health-centric, focus on the exact micro and macronutrients that they're ingesting into their body, because they do an in-depth research, in-depth study into what should and shouldn't go into their body, right? But then you've got people that do not understand anything at all when it comes to nutrition. They're just eating whatever is in front of them, right?
I call it a fluid relationship with food.
Fluid.
But as I was going to say, I've learned to enjoy the art of cooking. So
Really?
so recently,
Well, you're Italian.
I am
so
Italian. I
I feel like that comes.
it does. It
The
does.
fact that you're Italian just means they're gonna love food and love cooking and all that stuff.
Yeah, I've never really had that relationship with food where I'm able to make food. I've always been a bit unco in the kitchen. But now, like, learning...
I feel like that comes from the fact you're male as well.
That's part of it, probably. But I think the main thing is, like, now that I've been doing it a little bit more consistently, it's made me a lot more aware of what I'm actually putting into my food, what I'm actually cooking with, what I'm actually ingesting, the calories, the macros. It may not be 100% of the macros that I'm eating, but it's like, okay, like yesterday I made that Thai beef salad. You got your protein and your carbs, a little bit of sugar in the sauce, but it was nothing like crazy. But like I was able to see everything that went into my meal, and it was a revitalizing feeling, because you're like, oh, okay, I know I just put beef.
You get to choose what goes
Yeah,
in,
yeah.
what goes out, everything like that.
I didn't expect that sensation from cooking, so
You would have felt fulfilled, I reckon.
it was a fulfilling experience, we'll call it. But it was good. Like, I don't feel like many people bite the bullet and go, okay, well, maybe the food is the problem. Or maybe it's just, me not wanting to cook. I can't be bothered cooking, so I'll just get Uber Eats. Which, there are healthier options on Uber Eats now, whereas before it was more so fast food. Now, like, everything's on there. You can go get a fish bowl. You can go get a fish bowl, and it's like a big salad with rice and cabbage and protein.
Yeah, but they've also got all those services out there now where they've got those pre-made meals, they have the macros on it, they tell you the nutrients that are inside, and those things tend to be actually a little bit better than making food yourself. Sometimes, I'll say sometimes, because, getting the right ingredients to make a meal that hits all the macros and stuff that you need to, like, if you're a bodybuilder, you need to hit macros to a T, right? The average person doesn't really need that. Getting close to, or plus or minus 20 grams on either side isn't going to make a huge difference, I feel, unless you're focusing on building that 1% of muscle, which not everyone cares about. If you're a bodybuilder, probably stop watching our podcast, because
We just give basic nutrition advice.
Yeah, we're pretty basic when it comes to our advice. We cater more to helping people develop healthier habits, right? And for me personally, I have gone down the rabbit hole of, hitting macros and micros to a T, and following calories, and just eating broccoli, rice, and chicken. Yeah, every day. It was so bland. I cooked it myself. No seasoning. Just start off with no seasoning. I eventually got doubled into a bit of sauce. And my sauce doubled. You do like salt-based shit. And then my sauce was just like chili. That was my only sauce. So I went through that rabbit hole. I think I was doing it for a year and a half, solid. Ever since then, I have never been able to go back and eat that way, because
It's hard, eh?
I love food. I love food too much to the point that I wake up in the morning, I want to just intuitively eat. Know that I need to hit a certain amount of protein a day if I want to make sure that I'm recovering from all the exercise I'm doing. So I make sure every meal has at least 15 to 20 grams of protein. So in the morning, I have 2 eggs, which is 12. Then I have, a couple pieces of cheese, which is another 12 or so. That's already enough of my protein targets hit. So for me, it's just about achieving balance or making sure that the food I'm eating, I enjoy to eat every day. I'm not starving myself or overeating or forcing myself to eat a certain amount of food. I'm just eating the amount of food that I feel comfortable with and I enjoy eating, because that's what I'm going to be able to stick to forever. Right?
It's that balance. Now, here's a question for you, and this is a ever-growing debate, but I just want you to give me a straightforward answer. Organic or non-organic?
Ooh,
Tough one, eh?
I couldn't care less,
I know.
if I'm being honest.
A lot of people do, though, unfortunately.
Unfortunately, people do.
And
I couldn't give a shit, honestly. Like if the chicken is free roam
well, not
and
on,
running around in a paddock
not
or stuck in a cage, I couldn't give a shit, Sorry, I'm sorry, but that's just me. That's just me personally.
Not unfortunately, but
It's a food chain.
I will back it only because I watched a documentary recently called Poisoned. And it's about it's not happening here, but it's about the American food procedures. So where the food starts from, and where the food gets to in the supermarket. So it starts off very, very bland, quiet. It's just sort of explaining how, so many people buy food, fruits and veg. No, shut up. Let me explain. Just you haven't watched it? Let me explain. So you always do that.
Shoot the chicken.
So anyway, in this thing called Poisoned, what they do is they explain that there's a certain amount of people in America that eat all this fruit and veg, and they don't actually know what goes into it and the actual pesticides that are in it, and blah, 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 blah. Then they go into depth and they start explaining that they actually reuse the water. Now, this water is being tainted from the cow pastures that are right next door. These cow pastures are literally what they are. They're cow pastures, but that's where
cow shit.
That's where the cows poo. That's where they urinate. That's all that stuff.
We're drinking that.
No, this is America.
Okay. Yeah.
So well, I was actually having a debate about it with your mum last night. We were talking about it, and we were saying how important the nutrients that we actually eat is to us, and how the process of getting it from the ground to your kitchen is important. So pretty much what happens in America is the cows urinate, they do their thing. This then drains into the sewage systems, which gets recycled, and then they pretty much water the fruits and veg with that actual water. And they found in recent studies that there have been an increase in this pesticide, in this
Disease?
not a disease, but like a parasite of some sort that goes into the fruits and veg because they recycle the water.
Now it's cow shit going into your cucumbers.
Pretty much. So
cucumbers and cow shit don't really mix.
They're saying the way that they produce food over there isn't sanitary. You have to. That's why
vegetarians would hate this shit.
That's why.
Oh my god, that would be. Cancelling that movie.
That's why the debate over there is so strong, because there's so many people that have watched this and have now just gone, what the hell? Like, I didn't know that happened with my fruits and veg, and I didn't know about this, and I didn't know about that. That
would piss off a lot of people.
That's why I asked the question.
If I was vegetarian, I would be so angry right now.
Oh yeah.
Just because I stopped eating meat because I care about the animals and whatnot, and I don't want to be eating animals.
Yeah.
Right? So if my cucumbers, which is what I'm replacing my cow eating for, right? I'm being very generic, guys. I'm not saying you replace cow meat, like beef, for cucumbers. Just being general, okay? If my cucumbers are being tainted by the killing of cows, I've basically done the exact same thing. So that would actually shit me off.
Yeah.
If I'm being honest. So I feel for them.
It's a good documentary if you wanna watch it. It's called Poisoned. There's another one called You Are What You Eat.
I've watched that one.
That one's good. They put identical twins to the test, one goes vegetarian and one goes carnivore. Not carnivore, but like is allowed to have meat and everything else. I haven't watched past that. Do you know what happened? Don't spoil it, because I might want to watch it.
One gets big, one gets skinny.
Okay, cool.
No, I'm joking. Don't actually know.
It's,
I can't remember the last time I watched it. I think it was a while now.
Mm.
But either way, the point that we're trying to make in saying all this is just because the food industry is shit like this doesn't mean that you should be so selective with your food choices.
Mm.
You know what I mean?
Mm.
Like I feel like people get so hung up on the fact that this chicken was raised in a farm compared to the chicken being raised in a cage. At the end of the day, everyone cuts corners, and you can't expect someone like farmers to go out of their way to allow chickens to have an extra square kilometre of free roaming space when they've got all these other things to look after as well.
Mm.
And if you care about that much, maybe you should get your own farm. That has always been my thought.
No,
You know
that's,
what I mean?
that's
Like,
true. Cause
people that are so like, oh, you know, I want my chickens to be organic and
Go-
you know, free roam and stuff.
Go
Go
get a
buy a
farm.
farm. You know,
but it's
fine.
hard. Like,
And then they will realise pretty early on that it's a lot harder than what it is.
I
I
don't.
don't own a farm myself, but
Mm.
I can understand that it is a massive process to be able to give a chicken all this room when you've got cows and sheep and you know, fences and
Other meats to worry about. Like,
and foxes coming in to kill the chickens and stuff.
there's so.
you know?
It's like, it's literally running a business. You need to know the things that are going to happen, the bad thing, the good things. Like it's all
The
big.
risk to reward ratio.
I think what has recently happened is people have started to appreciate a lot more what the farmers actually go through and what they do for, you know, us just opening the fridge. 100%.
People are uneducated into the amount of work involved and
We just walk into the shops and pick up a chicken like it's nothing,
yeah.
or a piece of meat, or fruits and veg.
Well, in Portugal, I had to chop the chicken's heads off.
Okay, that's another story for another day. But that's the cultural side of food.
Cultural side of food, yep. So we actually, no, I'm not going to say.
But I think, like my grandfather, he's always been like a big advocate for growing his own product or growing his own fruits and veg. So every time I go over, there's another different plant, and I go over every week or every couple of weeks, and I go over and I go, mate, there was a dragon fruit plant. He's growing dragon fruits.
Is he?
Yeah, I'll grab it upstairs. It's upstairs. We'll have it later. But he's always been a big advocate for like growing his own fruits and veg with no pesticide, just literally water and the right nutrients, and growing his own veg and fruit. But the taste difference is so crazy.
Really?
You go to the shops, you buy a cucumber, and then I literally, when I was younger, I'd always go to his house and I'd say kuma kuma because I couldn't say cucumber, so I'd say kuma kuma. And I'd go to the plant, he'd pick me up, I'd grab one off the tree, and just the juiciness, the crunch, like everything was so different. And that, from that day forward, I've always gone to his house and I've always like appreciated that sort of side of things.
And the work involved.
And all that stuff. But that comes down to, you know, his whole life purpose was just to grow good food and veg. I think that's what his thing is.
I used to walk up to school with these tiny bananas, like they were this big, serious. And people used to be like, where the hell do you find bananas that small? And I was like, my grandmother grows them.
Yeah.
And it makes sense because, you know, organically made food, like those bananas I just showed you, that big, is a lot smaller than what you actually see in the supermarkets. Because in the supermarkets, they're actually genetically enhanced. Think of it as, you know, you see some big jack dude on the street, he's been taking gear, you know, and it's the same thing, but just in, you know, in the food world. You know, if you see a big banana, it's because that big banana has been enhanced or given steroids in some way. I don't know if it's called steroids. What do bananas have to get jacked?
What do they use? It's like genetically modified.
GMO. It's GMO, genetically modified organic?
I don't know. GMO.
GMO.
Look it up.
look it up yourself. Right? But anyways,
I think that comes down to the technology side of things as well. Like the role in technology these days is crazy. You can have like kiwis. They've genetically modified kiwis to have no skin.
I thought you were talking about like the language difference.
Not technology. I was saying
No,
like
Kiwi technology. Kiwis.
yeah, I understood. I just tried to avoid that conversation, but you brought it back up. So like the kiwi
you
fruits.
know, I wanted to say something actually. I've got a client of mine. She's Kiwi herself, Rianon.
Yep.
And whenever she's about to go on a trip to the motherland, New Zealand, she somehow gains her accent back. So I start talking to her, and then she somehow brings out this New Zealand accent. I'm just like, you didn't have this accent a week ago. Where all of a sudden has it come from? She's like, oh, I'm about to go to New Zealand. I'm like, what? So you're about to go, so you start gaining this accent. Then she goes to New Zealand, comes back, and in her first session, she sounds like the biggest Kiwi. And I'm sitting there like, you don't sound like this. I see you 3 times a week, and don't ever hear. Yeah, it just shifts. And her explanation was the fact that she's about to go see family, so she starts talking to them a little bit more. Like she's on the phone with them a bit more, planning what they're going to do.
Yeah.
And then she gets there, obviously sees them, she's talking to them all the time. And she's talking to people that all have that accent, because they're there all the time, right? And I feel like being surrounded by it all the time, it actually brings it out of you as well. And that's a big thing on you become, or you are, the 5 people you hang around the most with. I love that little phrase.
Yeah.
I feel like it's such a big thing.
It's very impactful.
I feel like you need to be careful with your close circle. Choose your close circle correctly. Because if you choose the wrong circle, it will lead you down a path that you never expected. And then you're going to come out of that thinking, how did I end up here? It's because of your decisions and your choices. You decided to be around this group. This group, you have to make sure that the group you're hanging around with, they live the life that you see yourself living or see yourself being a part of, if that makes sense.
Yeah, if they hinder your growth, they hinder your ideas, they hinder, you know, your steps forward in life. You've got to either communicate that with them, which communication is a big part, or, you know, you just sort of fade away. You know, I've had many friendships in the past that haven't really lined up with my benefited my life or lined up with my goals per se, and you know those people have just faded out of my life.
It's not like they were bad for you.
It's not that they were bad.
Those people are good people. They just weren't living the life that you wanted to live. So you going down that path, you would just eventually hated yourself because that wasn't you.
I think the one thing that I always took with me was that I want to be treated how I would treat you. So if you're not going to be on that level with me, then it's just slowly going to fade out.
Yeah.
And if it does fade out, I'm okay with it because it's me that's made the decision. It doesn't align with my values. And if you can't see that, then you're not the right friend for me.
There we go.
And if you're ready to develop into that next step of your life or the next best thing or the person that you want to be, it's definitely a big step to take, is being aware that you have to change. You have to sort of accept that people won't change as well. And if they won't change with you, they won't change for you then.
That's a massive thing actually, because a lot of people think that if they keep on trying with someone, like it's very common in relationships. You know, they get into a relationship with someone, this person starts eliciting more of who they are, because people tend to hide who they are until a certain point. So as soon as they start bringing out their true colours, that partner might not be okay with who this person actually is. Or once their true colours come out, they realise, oh, this person is actually not someone I like. But they have in their head that, oh no, you know, if I teach them or I keep on going and I hope that they will change one day, sometimes that will never happen. And you can't ever have that assumption that that person is going to change. I believe that, you know, if that person's going to change, they're going to change themselves. You can't put a timestamp on it. So they might change tomorrow. It might take them the next 20, 30, 40, 50 years to change, or maybe they will never change at all. You can never put it down to they will change for me, because you never know what will be the catalyst for their change.
I think the big thing as well, and the thing that people should be aware of, is if these people are willing to change, they'll do something straight away.
Yes.
If they want to change and keep the relationship with you, they'll change as quick as possible to maintain that relationship with you.
But I also feel like people shouldn't need to change, and if they're needing to change, then there's something wrong. You know, why were they not like that before? Why did they have to change now all of a sudden because they've got into a new relationship or they built this new connection with someone else? There shouldn't be a new person coming into their life for them to need to change. You know, if I needed to change, and I only thought about needing to change when I got into a new relationship, maybe it wasn't right. That's the way I think.
Are you talking in regards to relationships or friendships?
Oh, both.
Okay.
It can be anything, like it can be with family as well, like just any connection with another person. I feel like you shouldn't wait, you know, someone coming into your life, you shouldn't need to change for that person. You should only be wanting to change for yourself. Because if you're wanting to change for that person, you're doing it for the wrong reasons.
Yeah.
And
Depends on that person though.
No, I feel like you're still doing it for the wrong reasons. Because if you require that person to tell you, hey, this is not good, I feel like you should change this about yourself. Why were you not thinking about that before? Why did you have to wait for that person to tell you for you to make that change?
Sometimes people are blind. They can't actually see. Because there's a book that I've been reading, Ego is the Enemy. And there's some people that think that they need to figure it out all on their own. Otherwise, they'll either stay the same or never change. But one thing that I've learned along the way, and especially reading that book, is that, you know, it may be someone on the soccer field calling you a name for you to click. It may be someone walking down the street and coughing next to you that ticks you off. Or it may be someone on the road that swerves into your lane because they think you're a dickhead. Those immediate, sudden changes will never make you change, but they will have an impact on you that will eventually, over time, make you change. Make you realise that there's something that needs to be adapted or adjusted.
You know, adapt to your new environment.
Yeah. So I agree with you. Yes, it does come down to you, but there's going to be external forces that change your thought process.
I just have this thing that you shouldn't allow other people to change who you are.
No, you shouldn't. You actually shouldn't let other people change you, but you should be open-minded to the fact that there may be things that need to be adjusted.
In your life, yes.
Yeah.
And I feel like that comes into building that network.
Yes.
Or that strong network of
the 5 people.
Yeah, the 5 people. Okay, I'll just use 5 people as an example.
Yeah.
Some people might not have 5. They might just have like 2 that they're closest with.
Yeah.
You know, and those 2 people become your rocks. And,
Yeah.
you know, the 3 of you are like your strong network of people. 5 is just a pretty self-explanatory number.
Just an easy way to describe it.
You know, it can include your family, can include your siblings, can include your friends, can include your teachers. You know, it doesn't really matter. It's about the 5 people you kind of have the strongest connections with.
Yeah, it's who you gravitate towards and who you see replicate a life that you can see them
See yourself living as well. Like,
that's a big thing.
Like for us, for example, I never want to live his life. That goes against everything we just said.
Nah, like I get it, but like there's things
we're kind of living the same life.
Yeah,
we're in the same business.
We're in the same
running
shirts.
the same podcast. We're in the same clothes. So they obviously see that, you know, because we're hanging out with each other all the time, almost every day, you can kind of see that we're kind of molding to become very similar versions of each other.
I think it's good that you have a personality that kind of reflects you in a way. I'm not saying you reflect me, and I don't reflect you, but
Pink sheep.
Pink,
That was
I'm this color. I'm this color sheep. I'm a blue sheep.
That was 2 podcasts ago, guys. So if you want to see what I mean
Go
by
back
pink
2
sheep, go
podcasts
2
ago.
podcasts.
But no, definitely.
Minute 35, seconds 47. Alright, go on.
One thing that I have been sort of talking to like some of my clients about is, you shouldn't be worrying about more than 5 things or more than a handful of things. So the 5 things that I kind of tell people to focus on, and this just is overall life, is yourself, your family, your faith, your friends, and the last one is your freedom or your choice to be free. They're like a good 5 things. They help you sort of
For
yourself.
Yeah.
They help you.
No, as in like, that's your 5
That's
things.
my 5. It could be anything for anyone.
Just being open, that's Rianon's 5. My 5 are going to be a little bit different. Your 5 are going to be different.
100%.
So everyone's going to have a different version of
Yeah.
the order, what actually is in them.
Yeah.
Because not everyone has friends. Not everyone has family.
Yeah, 100%.
Not everyone has faith.
That's
So like, that's why it's like, there is 5 things that we want you to focus on, but for some people,
could be
career
2,
could be the
1.
most important thing in their life
100%.
at that certain point.
Yeah.
And the one thing that I learned very recently is no matter what life you live, you can never achieve true balance. Everyone strives for balance. They're like, I want to achieve a balance in my life. I want to exercise more. I want to start reading more. I want to get a new hobby. I want to focus on me, all this stuff. But is that something you want to focus on? If it is, start introducing it more into your life. But realize that sometimes that will come at a cost of you doing less of other things. So we're limited to time. You have to sleep 8 hours a day. Most people work another 8 hours a day. That's already 16 hours gone to work and sleep. You've only got, another 8 hours left. What are you going to do with those 8 hours? Are you going to train? Are you going to spend that time with the family? Are you going to spend that time with your friends? Are you going to spend that time following a faith or religion? Are you going to spend that time on yourself, developing, educating? So you've only got a short window of time, and you've also got to take into account, rest time, everything. There's so many different things you can add into those 8 hours. So what you've got to realize is sometimes life is going to be unbalanced. Sometimes you can only focus on certain things for certain periods of time before you switch on to something else.
Just to preface, I don't tell my clients to just focus on those 5 things, but it gets them sort of thinking about what are the important things that I should be worrying about
For themselves.
for themselves that aren't external forces, like that aren't external as in the sense of, oh, my best friend's dog's neighbour's partner broke up, so now it's affecting me.
Yes,
like having
do that.
having that connection.
They focus too much on something that shouldn't worry them too much.
Yeah, it's a big thing. Like a lot of people, like for myself even, I worry about people more than myself sometimes. So I tend to. Yeah, I'm a people pleaser. I used to be a people pleaser, but now I'm learning to focus on myself.
I'd say we both were.
We both were. Yeah. I think everyone sort of growing up becomes a bit of a people pleaser until they not everyone, but most people, to get into a social circle, they have to be
some
themselves.
form of people pleasing.
Yeah.
Like you have to kind
learn.
of make sure. Like I feel like that comes with any human interaction. You have to kind of fake it till you make it, in a way. Like I'm not saying be fake and don't be who you are, because you can still be the exact person that you are today and tomorrow, and try and make that connection by offering something or pleasing that other person in some way, shape or form.
Yeah, that comes down to sort of learning as you get older to become your own person. I think becoming your own person and knowing what you actually want in life and being certain with what you want to do, and whether that be having a loved one by your side, encouraging you to do the good things, or having a family that's encouraging and sort of understanding of your situations and your processes, growing into that person that you want to become is so vital to your development, your career, your experience in life, your time. There's a lot of factors that come into that.
100%. But I feel like it's very important for you to be your own person. I can't stress this enough. I'm a pink sheep, right? And if you heard two podcasts ago, I explained what a pink sheep is. Now, I'm not going to go into that today. We don't have time for me to start talking about pink sheeps and stuff like that. What I want to say is if you truly, and I say truly, become your own person, where you're completely unique, when people see you, they see you as, hey, that's him, not, he's just the same as the other person I met yesterday. If you get compared to as a unique person, that's good. That's very good, because then you're actually living a life that you yourself want to live. You're in your head knowing that when you're dreaming, like I think of it like this. When you go to bed and you're dreaming, you're actually concocting what your
subconscious,
what you want to do. Like your actual, I'm not saying everyone wants to do what they're doing in their dreams. Obviously, some people have pretty fucked up dreams, right? But when you're in dream state, you can actually imagine anything, right? You can have whatever imagination you want. When you bring that into real life, a lot of people are scared to act in certain ways because they're going to be judged for living a certain way, because they think society is going to judge them for doing certain things. If you truly become your own person, you're going to be completely happy knowing that everything you're doing is your own doing. And I feel like that's very important. A lot of people these days get sucked into society bringing them down to live a certain life that they actually shouldn't be living or don't want to be living. And partners, I feel like this is very common in partners. My partner isn't allowing me to wear this dress. It's very common with girls. They're going out with their girlfriends and their boyfriends or husbands, whatever, are telling them, you can't go out wearing that. I don't like you wearing that, whatever it is. That's probably the most common example I can think of. But it's also the same in reverse, where the girlfriend would be telling her boyfriend, or the wife would be telling the husband, hey, I don't want you going out till this certain time with your boys. I don't want you going to strip clubs, whatever it is. Putting all these rules and limitations on someone, some of them can be good and just, whatever. There might be a good reason for it, but...
Like the strip club.
Like the strip club.
If you're married, just don't go.
Yes, that is a pretty fair rule. But what I'm trying to say with this is, if you're limiting that person from living the life they want to live, it's only going to cause more harm than good in your relationship.
Yeah, it's like restricting someone from doing what they want to do.
If you're restricting someone from doing what they want to do, it's not going to end well. That person is going to cause resentment. It's going to cause resentment between you guys. That person eventually is going to have some blow up. Say, why don't you let me go to a strip club? All my other mates go to strip clubs. That's an example. Or like the girl would be saying like, oh, all my girlfriends wear dresses like this. Why can't I? Why do I have to cover up and wear something outfit? That's another example. If you keep on doing that to someone, limiting them to your own beliefs and your own rules, you're never going to actually see the person for the person.
Without communicating that with them. I think it does come down to that, but also the communication side of things and having a similar understanding. Having a similar understanding and knowledge base on both parts, and being like, all right, why is it that you don't want me wearing this dress? Oh, babe, I don't want you wearing this dress because of X, Y, Z. Okay, that's completely understandable. You've given me the reasons. I understand now. And if you both are in that relationship for the benefit of each other, then having that communication level at that sort of level will just make you go, okay, cool. I'm understanding to communicate now. And that's only going to either benefit the relationship or hinder it, just depending on the person that is
listening or watching, whatever it is. Now, Ray.
Yes.
What is the difference? And I want you to give a bit of a lesson here to everyone.
Yes.
Between empathy and sympathy. So we can give them a little bit of a lesson today. Because Rianon was going to be a teacher, so I want him to kind of teach the class today.
Having empathy for someone is having the feeling that it's like secondhand embarrassment. But not secondhand embarrassment, secondhand empathy. So empathy for someone is like, oh God, I feel sorry for so-and-so because their friend died. That's having empathy for someone.
expressing the same feeling
Correct.
or
So
a similar feeling.
yeah. And then sympathy is it's hard. It's a hard one to distinguish because
It's like feeling bad.
yeah, it's like feeling bad.
Or
It's like
not actually expressing that same feeling.
yeah,
Like, oh damn, I feel bad for you, you know.
yeah, yeah.
That's kind of how you break it down. Like, you feel bad for that person, but you don't actually have that feeling, that like shared feeling and understanding of what that person is going through.
Yeah.
Like you'll feel bad for them and actually genuinely care, and that's what sympathy is. But empathy is actually having that understanding of what that person is going through. And sometimes it's really hard for you to have empathy if you've never actually had that feeling before.
Yeah.
For example, if you've never had a loved one pass, then you won't be able to show empathy towards someone that just had a loved one pass away.
But you can show sympathy.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah, you can be
That's a good
like
example.
a rock that they can lean on for support and stuff, but you won't be able to show empathy because you've never actually felt it.
Yeah,
before.
that's a good.
So you wouldn't understand
That's a good way to explain
what they're
it.
going through. But I feel like empathy does come into human connections a lot, heavily, because if you are not able to express that human emotion, well, I was driving with Ray the other day, and what car were we parked next to? It wasn't a truck or anything.
What was this?
Well, I told him to.
Oh my god, no, we were driving. Oh my god. We were driving around. I think we went to the beach last week.
Oh yes.
Went to the beach, and in the span of like 30 minutes of him driving, I'm like, I can name 3 things that are just so sketchy about your driving. And we're driving, and he's just like, should I do this? Should I do that? Should I do this? And I'm sitting there with my hand in my head, and I'm like, oh my god, my head in my
I get
hands.
really excited when I go to the beach, guys. So I get really amped up. Got heaps of testosterone going through me. Vitamin D has just hit, and I'm getting brown, feeling great, feeling sexy. So when I'm in the car, I just shirt off. I just feel like I own the road. Right? So I'm driving around, cruising, whatever. I'm like, hey, Ree, look at this car next to us. Should I get him to beep the horn?
Pull the horn. No, didn't do it. Where were you going with that?
Huh?
Where were you going with that story?
Oh, that was it.
Oh, it just came out. Okay. But to go back onto the topic of empathy and sympathy, I think the one thing that we spoke about is obviously becoming your own person too. So like learning to accept that empathy and sympathy will come into your life at some point. It may not for everyone, but having that understanding of what
it has to come in for everyone.
It has
Everyone
to.
at some point has to understand what someone else is going through in some way. And if you don't, then, you know, I feel bad. I have sympathy for you.
It's crazy that you can...
They can have shared sympathy for us.
Yeah.
You know? They can be watching this video and be like, oh man, these guys get no views. Something like that. And we'll be like, feel bad for us.
Oh, we played our first soccer game in 2 years on Saturday. How was
yes.
that?
That was a game and a half, honestly. I loved it.
I missed it so much.
After the first half, I think I was running on pure adrenaline.
Yeah, I think
there
everyone was.
There was no gas left in the tank for me, right? And then they got to the end of the game, 90th minute, and we said, oh, let's play golden goal. And I had this absolute drive to succeed because I knew if they scored, all of the effort that we put into trying to win the game would have gone to shit, right? So I was so pissed off. They were actually on the attack, and I was like, no, this can't happen, I think I chopped someone in the box, something like that. Anyways, we got the ball, we secured it. Rianon went on a bolstering centre-back run. He ran half the field. I laid it off to someone. I was in the 18-yard box, which is weird. I'm a CDM. I shouldn't be in the 18-yard box. But I got the ball. I wasn't even looking up. I didn't know exactly where I was. All I knew was I was looking down at the ball. I was looking down at my feet. And I was able to surpass people just chopping my legs off. People were just chopping my legs off, and I didn't care. I didn't have a care or thought in the world. All I wanted to do we'll shoot it into the goal. And you know what? I succeeded.
Good job.
Was that a good description of the game?
Yeah.
What was it?
Elongated version, but it was good. Pretty much, he ran through 6 plays and scored in the last minute.
Yes.
But nah, man, I miss that. I miss that feeling of just like being able to run. Like, what? It's been 2 years since we've like properly played. We played like 5-a-side.
3 games last year.
Yeah,
Last
5-a-side.
year.
But that was about it. And like for the first time, I'm like finally like I'm doing what I used to do when I was younger. Like just able to play on a Saturday, train during the week, and get back into like a better routine with our cardio fitness. I think cardio fitness was the biggest thing that we neglected going into our young adult lives, because you know the party scene happens and you want to go out and you're like, oh, I'm tired, I've got a game on Saturday, I can't be bothered, cancel, and you sort of just get locked into that period. Obviously, we went away for the 2 months that we went away, but just that feeling, the adrenaline rush, the ability to pass the ball, the ability to run, the cardiovascular system
I feel
getting
like that comes with
overworked.
being male. Like you're amped up for competition.
Mm.
You know, there's males are running at you hard, trying to score goals, and all you're trying to do is the opposite thing. So you're competing 11 versus 11. You have to work as a team. You have to work as a unit. You have to foster big connections with people, enough to have the trust that if you pass them the ball, they're going to be safe and good on the ball to pass it back to someone else to eventually get up the field and score, right? And I feel like you have to have like a pretty strong level
What are you
of trust.
doing? Get up, you can stand up. Yeah, we're doing the podcast, but you can walk through. Why are you crawling on the floor? You can see yourself regardless. That's staying in. That's staying in. Oh, this is my little brother Lucas.
He cuts our hair actually.
He does. He does a good job.
He
Does a good
does.
job.
Look at that. Oh shit.
Oh God.
You know, one thing that our close friend always says to us: make sure that no matter where you are, you're always the dumbest person in the room, and that's how you will learn. And at first, I was a bit shocked by that statement because I was like,
Why would you act dumb in a room?
why would you want to be the dumbest person in the room? It didn't make sense to me. But then as I started thinking about it, I realized that the concept behind it was, if you act like the dumbest person in the room or the person that knows absolutely nothing, what's going to happen is everyone else is going to be talking and talking and talking. All you're going to be doing is retaining new information, new perspectives from everyone else, soaking in this new information. And what happens? All the information that you had before that you would have shared and just given to people, now you've just gained more on top of that. So now you've become a bit smarter.
It's a very confronting thing to hear. Like, be the dumbest person in the room and you'll learn so much more. You're like, how does that make sense? How does being dumb or being
Because if
quiet,
you're talking, you're not learning, are you?
you're just giving people your opinion.
Your opinion and your advice and
Knowledge.
your knowledge.
Yeah.
And you're not actually receiving anything back in return. Whereas if you quiet and ask questions, you're actually going to be receiving from other people and actually gaining something.
Where did we hear that from? Was that in a book?
I think it was in a book, 7 Highly Effective Habits of Highly Effective People. So if you want to become a very highly effective person, give it a read.
Yeah. It was one of the books that my previous boss actually gave me to read. And I read...
It's a thick one.
Yeah, it's a big read. But each habit, each effective habit was so powerful. Like,
In its own way.
in its own way. Like, I can't remember the effective habits. There was obviously 7 of them, but every time I read,
can't remember all of them.
Yeah, I
either.
can't remember all
Let
of
me just look them up so we can actually teach the people.
it's actually good. So pretty much, the book just gives you a better understanding of how to be an impactful person to someone's life. Now, these habits may not be in your nature, but that's what reading's for. Reading is to obviously develop yourself
Here we go.
into a better person, a better version of you.
The 7 habits of highly effective people. Number 1 is be proactive. That's a good one. So like make sure that you're, instead of reacting to things, actually being proactive or anticipating something that's going to happen instead of just reacting. Like someone says, you know,
You
someone says,
smell.
yeah, and then you reacting to that. Instead of reacting to it, be proactive and actually putting deodorant on first.
True. I don't want to go through all of them. I think this is like a whole nother podcast worth. I think we can tease one of them, and that's about one of them.
You know what? That's it.
I reckon
that's a lot. That's it.
I reckon
You're
that's
only
it.
getting number one, which
You're only
is
getting
to
number
be
one.
proactive.
But next podcast, which
we're going to go into detail about every single one of those rules.
We'll go
what
into
we
that.
learnt, our opinions on the book because we both read it, and you'll learn something.
Yeah.
Maybe you won't even need to read the book at all.
I think
But
that's a good idea.
Stephen Convey is actually a good writer. I feel like you'll actually gain something from his book. So, still read it. We're going to give you a bit of a recommendation in the next video. And I feel like we should actually give them some recommendations of the books we read, because we do read a lot.
I reckon that should be the theme of each podcast. Well, not every podcast, but like every...
we should talk about books a little bit more.
Yeah.
Because that's something we like doing, so why not share that?
Yeah, 100%. Like Ego is the Enemy can be the next one.
I still have this.
There's the Daily Stoic.
Read this, guys. This is something that I reread on my phone. What was it, 2 years ago?
2 years ago.
2 years ago, he wrote this on my phone.
In defeat and fortune.
Don't let your ego override your humility. So I've been saying this on my phone for 2 years. Have not changed the lock screen. It's been the exact same. I'm pretty sure I've been looking at this most of the time.
Yeah.
It's the ego one. But yeah,
I think we
that's
do
us.
that. I think we do that. We will come together.
We'll introduce that.
We'll introduce
in some of our
a
podcasts.
book in the first half an hour, and I reckon we just discuss off each topic, off each chapter, off each thing.
You know what? Maybe we can ask them for book recommendations.
We can do that too.
If you have any book recommendations,
Chuck 'em our
let
way.
us know. Chuck them our way. You've got our emails. Actually, no, they've got our email.
Just shoot us a comment. Just put a comment in the comments below.
Yeah.
And for
We'll
now,
try to respond to every single one of your comments.
2 of them. All right. For now and forever. Goodbye.
Yeah. Make sure you show empathy, guys.